Buongiorno. Good morning. How are you? Kalimera. I'm Gary Alex, GaryAlexAudio.com. And today, I'm doing a walkthrough of a mix I did for a song I just recorded for a great artist who's not ready to reveal who he is. So we're just going to leave it at that. In my last video, I did sort of a walkthrough of how I mic'd up the drums and quickly went over the guitars. And if you want to check that out, it's in my collection there. Today we're just going to kind of go through the mix. We've got all the drum tracks in the navy blue. It's a kick sample, a kick out mic, snare top, snare sample, snare bottom. We got rack 1 and rack 2, a couple of overheads. It says room, but it's really just a mono overhead that captured the overall drum kit. The overheads were really just capturing the cymbals. I did end up doing a stereo overdub cymbals. I just hit them harder and wanted them a little bit more aggressive. And then I reamped the drum set through my Focals, cranked them up, just the drums, none of the overhead mics or anything, and put a couple of AKG 414s about 20 feet back, recorded it, and put a little compression on it. And I think it adds a nice depth and dimension to the drums. All the drums are going to the drum bus here. I've got a parallel compression track here, auxiliary track, and that is drums, no cymbals. There's a room verb that I used on the cymbals in mono room, just to give them a little bit of space. And I also do a parallel compression track on the kick and snare. It's the kick snare crush. And then there's a reverb on the snare. The guitars are in the green. We got rhythm guitar doubled, and then we've got an accent track. Ended up using an amp simulator, Brainworks Diesel VH4 on those accent tracks. Then there's Smokey, which is literally a pack of cigarettes that was turned into an amplifier, and it sounds terrible on its own, but it adds a nice mid-range clarity to those distorted guitars. And then the bridge and guitar solo, pretty self-explanatory. There's a little bridge part where we added another guitar thing and then a solo. All the guitars are going to the guitar bus. I did use a little bit of a delay on the solo. Bass was recorded with the DI, and then we split the signal to the bass amp. It's being bused to the bass bus. We've got the lead vocal and then a vocal double, and that was got a bunch of distortion on it, blended it in. Megaphone is an actual megaphone that he sang through, and we just did a little accent thing. Backup vocal 1 and 2. And that is going to the Vox bus over here. We've got our vocal effects. We've got a short plate, a stereo delay, a vocal doubler, a vocal delay, and then crystallizer. It's the Sound Toys crystallizer. I like the Dull 23 Echoes, I think it is, the preset, and then I tweak it. We did a tambourine overdub, and then there's a bass drop at the end of the song, and everything, like I said, is going right to our mix bus here. So that being said, we'll start with the drums, and let's give this a listen. So the overheads, I used auto align, and I used it in a way I don't normally use it. I used auto align on the left and right overheads and the mono room, and then on the kick I used a separate instance for just the kick in and kick out, and I did the same thing with the snare top and the snare bottom. I didn't try to match everything to the overhead hats, which is normally what I do. This time I tried something different, and I really liked the way it worked out. And so that's that. Let's get to some actual drums. Kick drum is using the Black Salt Audio silencer. Then we used Kazrog True Iron. We used it a lot. We used this plug-in on a bunch of the buses. And I also used this Waves SSL E-channel plugin a lot. I'm cranking 8K all the way, and also taking out as much of 800 hertz as I could. And there's a little bit of a boost at 60, a little bit of compression with a slow attack, fast release, 3-to-1 ratio. Just a little bit. Another EQ on that kick drum, getting rid of some of the mud and honkiness, adding a little more attack. And then finish it off with the clipper, the lo-fi, just a little bit, 0.2. That's an Andrew Sheps thing. Kick sample I'm using, it's a sample I got from the Jordan Valeriat hardcore mixing program that he has online. It's really good. And using the ABD kick, and then I also use one of the stock plug-in stock sample room samples. On the kick out mic, I EQ'd going in and compressed going in, so I just took out a little bit of the high end, and it was very low endy, so I took out a little low end too. And I used a transient shaper to kind of shorten the sustain and beef up the attack. Snare drum silencer again. This thing is a great plugin. I use Sound Radix Drum Leveler to sort of level off the snare hits, try to make them a little more uniform. Did a pretty good job playing these drum tracks though. And then True Iron from Kazrog again. Snare sample. These again are Jordan Valeriat samples that I use, and then a stock rum sample that came with trigger. The bottom snare, just a little bit of EQ, taking out a little bit of low end, and it's usually around there. That sounds kind of wonky. Oh yeah, I also use the Waves SSL channel in the snare top. Got a little bit of a boost, around 4K, and a little bit of compression, more EQ. The clipper, the lo-fi, and then another Black Salt Audio plugin. It's the Oxygen, and this thing really brings out the snare. The kick snare crush. Just brings the kick and snare more forward in the mix. I'm using a little bit of the plate on this CLA Echosphere plugin, and for some reason I decided to add a second reverb on this, and it's the Bricasti on the Slate Digital Verb Suite Classic. Rack 1 and Rack 2, I ended up using samples on the toms, which I never do, but I did this time. I thought they just sounded better than the recorded toms, so I just replaced them and EQ'd them a little bit. Overheads, took out most everything, just want the cymbals in there. The mono room, same thing, just took out some rumble and some weird mid-range stuff that was going on. And I used the Softube saturation plugin. Wanted it to be a little bit more grainy, a little more distorted. The reamped drums were very bassy. There's so much bass on them that I had to like roll off a lot of low end. And I'm using the Room preset on the CLA 76. Hitting it pretty good, but not slamming it too bad. The Room Verb. Very subtle. And the Drum Crush. It's the SSL Comp pumping preset. Followed by JST clip. So those are the drums. The mix bus, I use Slate's virtual mix rack on the Neve setting, followed by the G comp. I'm using the Punch preset. I think most of the time I like the Chris Lord-Alge Finalizer preset, but I went with this. Brainworks, using a little bit of a bass shift, like a half a dB, and mostly I'm using it for the mono maker at 80 hertz and stereo width 114%, so just spreading it out a little bit more, and I'm putting a little shelf at the high end at around 8K. Oxford Inflator, just a little bit. Slate Digital, it's their virtual mastering channel. I don't use the compressor, I'm just using a little bit of gain to get the signal up to where I think it needs to be. And then the Waves linear phase multiband plugin on the multi-electro mastering preset, and then I just kind of tweak it a little bit so that it just tucks everything in nicely and I can shape the tone the way I want. And I saw a video, Greg Wells using this, and I was like, I love it. I'm getting it. And then I use Ozone for my limiter, and I use the IRC4 transient preset. And that's the mix bus. So that was, like I said, the SM57 in front of the Fender Tremolux. I'm just using some EQ. And the accent tracks will come in, and it's the Diesel VH4, my Brainworks. High gain, it sounds great. 1 to 2 dBs right there. And then I threw Soothe on to try to take care of some of this 2K. And the bass. I use a bunch of automation too, and I switch between the bass amp and the bass DI. Like I use the bass DI the whole time, and then I bring the bass amp on the choruses. So it'll be hard to tell right now because I have my automation off, but I also auto-align the DI with the bass amp. I'm using a CLA 76 on the bass preset, and the Sans amp on the SVT preset. I tweaked it a little bit. Just kind of taking out the highs and the super lows. I also used a de-esser on this because the string noise was a little bit distracting at times, but it sounds really good and aggressive. The bass amp is a CLA 76. I took out even more low end because I wanted this distorted track to be more mid-rangey. I'm using this Fuzzwah for the fuzz, which I've never used before, but I liked it on this. Vocals. So the vocals, we're using an SSL channel on the lead vocal here, adding a little bit of high end and some mid-range, taking out some mud. In your face vocal, bluey, and a little de-esser. And the Pro Q3 I automated, so I only have it on in the beginning of the song, and I'm taking off a little bit of high end. Black Salt Audio plugin called Telefy. Thing's sick. Can get so many different sounds with it. Compressed it in your face with the blue. And I'm using the dual H910 910S preset on the actual track. I'm not using it as a send. And I like it. Megaphone. I added Telefy to it even though I didn't really need to because it was already megaphoned out. And Acon Digital's Multiply is another one of the plugins that I use randomly for special effects. The backup vocals, just a little bit of EQ and compression, sending it to my crystallizer. Short plate. This is the Abbey Road thing where you take out the highs and the lows and a little bit of the mid, and then go into the reverb, 2.5 second decay. Now you can hear the crystallizer on that guitar. Stereo delay on the vocal is the mod delay. shift pitch shifter is my doubler. And then there's an H delay. Yeah, dull 23 echoes. Vocal bus, pretty simple. The Brit 4K virtual channel. Another in your face and bluey. Not totally slamming it, but hitting it good. Here comes the bass drum. Now I got the automation on. So that's it. And I hope some of this was helpful and at least somewhat entertaining. I hope to see you again. Take care.